The obsession machine, visual autoethnography in pandemical times. At the beginning of the pandemic, I set out to make a autoethnographically inflected visual document about the pandemic, about our experience. I started by making drawn diaries on folded pieces of paper, sort of sketchbooks, and these developed through the spring and summer of that first year, and they became more complicated, more worked. They wanted to be paintings, so in the autumn I rebooted and made a format. These are 50 centimetres square. They've all got a still life element in them, a still life drawing which relates to the earlier diaries, and they're made on collage surfaces, new pieces of paper made out of resources, drawings, prints, and accumulations, packaging, and so on and so forth, and a lot of work which has been left over from a 30-year art teaching career in middle and high schools and universities in Suffolk. And what I was doing by reworking these, looking at them now, I can see what I'm doing is mourning or coming to terms with the end or the changes in my artist-teacher identity, which I've done a lot of research work into, my PhD and so forth. And I can see here that what I'm doing is working out that artist-teacher identity towards something else. I mean, you might think that if you're an artist-teacher and you stop teaching, you switch off the teacher, the artist is left, but my artist-teacher identity, the two parts were so entangled, so entwined, that actually the teasing apart of these two elements was much more difficult, more complicated, and more painful than I might have thought. And I can see these now as being a sort of a coming to terms with that, a mourning, all these sort of occlusions and crossings out and reworkings. And it's taken a long while to stop seeing the possible teaching moments or the demonstration possibilities of these works, and to let them be artworks in a different sort of way. It's taken a long while. I did them in a way to keep myself stable during the pandemic. They gave me a project, which is quite a teacher thing to do, to give yourself a project. And it was a process that I designed, a methodology, and it was a ritual that I carried out 5 times a week. I posted them 5 times a week. I did give myself the weekends off, but I was very disciplined about it, and it became quite difficult to do as time went on. For the last 8 months, I used a stencil. I took the still life drawing of the ball of string. I made it on a piece of cardboard, a cornflakes box. I waited for the paint to dry, then I cut all the paint away, and I had a stencil, and I used that for the last 8 months or so, making variations. So they're an exploration of stasis, of a frozen moment in the drawing, now frozen in the stencil. They are about stasis. They are about being left on your own resources, no gallery visits, no studio visits, very little interaction or conversation. They're running on the internet, they're running on my books, they're running on the old work, they're running on my experimentation in colour. They're quite pure in that way, uninfluenced. It's kind of interesting. And I'd made this, as I say, an obsession machine to keep myself going and to give myself something meaningful to do. And that pursuit of beauty in difficult circumstances, I think, is quite interesting and quite a powerful thing. Quite a powerful thing to have done, and to have this sort of impulse to make these is I'm still coming to terms with what I've done, if that makes sense. They are really quite complicated, intricate, and strange things. Last year, we were finding things very, very difficult. We'd been in our personal lockdown for 2.5 years. There's over 400 of these paintings. That's a lot. And as we came into the late summer, we were finally told by a medic that we'd be better off going out to take the risk with COVID, that the risk to our mental health of staying isolated was probably greater than COVID by that point. And so I was able to, I promised myself I was going to keep doing this until it was over, not realising that it would go on for such a long time. And then on August 24th, it was switched off. The doctor said we could go out. And I was able to, at long last, put them in the back of a car and take them to the Houseworth Gallery and sort them and put a selection on the wall. And this is where, from a mental health point of view, things get much more sketchy, really. This is one every 21 days on the wall. So that's like the entire pandemic. And then the pile at the bottom there, that's the entire pandemic on one wall. And that's just like whack. I found that more difficult to absorb all this work in sort of one visual experience of all that I'd done, and good and bad, what I'd achieved by doing it, and my own obsession, my own discipline, my own drive. I found it quite an ambiguous experience to look at these things. I made things worse for myself by having an opportunity later on to put up another sequence. This is 1 month, this is March 2021, again in one go, and they're incredibly intricate. I was well into the flow here, and they're so complex. There's so many decisions, there's so many memories, there's so many bits of experience embedded in these works that just to see them all in one go is overwhelming. And I found it very difficult to come to terms with what I've done in a good way and a bad way. It's been quite difficult. I have got a series of collages left over that I haven't worked on yet, and they are waiting in a corner of another studio, waiting for me to come to terms and to get going again. I have been making work, but not of this sort, and I'm still making sense of what I've done. And thank you very much.